So far we got the models. The next thing that we need to do is actually create a DbContext, add these models to the DbContext, and connect it with our database through appconfig connection string. So I'm coming and to the root of my project, and I'll create another folder which will have name persistence. Okay, with persistence. Okay, inside it I'm going to add my DbContext. So adding a new class which could be, let's say, put to context. Okay, make it public. Now what we need to do for each DbContext, we need to inherit class which is DbContext and coming from system.data.entity. After that I need to create public put to context, which will be my constructor, and here I'm going to say that this inherits the base constructor with some string. So this will be name equals put to context. What's that? Well, basically from here we're giving our connection string, which after that we're going to set in appconfig. Now let's continue. How I can actually add these models to my context? Well, I need to say public virtual DbContext from DbSet from my model. So let's say author, and here give authors, get and set. After that again public virtual DbSet for the next one, which is course, and this will be courses, getter and setter. And to the end I'm going to have public virtual DbSet from tag, and this will be tags. Okay, so far so good. Now I need to create one more thing. I need to define my course configurations. So inside this folder I'm going to add new folder which will be entity configurations. Now I mentioned about Fluent API, so now actually we're going to use it. Here I'm going to add new class which will be courses configuration. Okay, now this class should basically inherit entity type configuration, and here give our model, so course. Okay, and import the namespace. Now what I need to do here, I need to create my constructor, courses configuration, and here actually it will be better if we name it course instead of courses, like that. Next, and it will be renamed now. Okay, basically what we're trying to do, where actually we need to write our Fluent API configurations. Well, here inside my DbContext I can override method. So I can say override, and the name of method is onModelCreating. Here basically I can use it. I can use this model builder and say model builder.entity, for example, something HESKey, etc, etc. But I don't want to do that. Why? Because if I got, let's say, 20 different classes, in the normal case in the production environment you got more than 20, usually you have, for example, like 30 models. And if you're going to set configurations for all these 30 models here, then it will just become a mess up. Full mess up which is hard to maintain. That's why it's really important to think for architecture and to think how I can actually make my project in a way that it can be easier maintainable in the future when the project expands. So I don't want to add them here. And what I'm going to say, I'll say model builder dot configurations dot add, and here I'm going to give new course configuration. So what I'm trying to do is for each model that I'm going to have some configurations through Fluent API, make another class for it, add it here, and just implement the logic inside this constructor. And this is much more cleaner way. Trust me, if you got 30 models and you want to set configurations for all of them, after that you cannot understand barely nothing from that source. Okay, so what I want to say here. Well, here I'm coming back, and first I want to say property course is going to course.description, let's say dot is required. And after that he has max length, which is 2000. Another thing, property c is going to c.name, is required as well, and it will has max length up to 255. Going to the next thing, I'm going to say has required c.author, so course.author with many. Author is going to author.courses. Say that it has foreign key. Course is going to course.authorID, and after that dot will cascade on delete, and this will be set to false. So with this code here, I'm doing some validation things. Let's say what else we can do. If I go inside my course, I got two options for validation. Basically, you need to decide which one of them you want to use. And usually, as we spoke, we can do it through Fluent API or with attributes. Let's say for this demo, we'll use Fluent API because it's a little bit harder and I want to show you the syntax. But if you want, you can do this with attributes, and I advise you to practice this. But how these things will look like with attributes, let's get a name. I want to be required, so square brackets, say required. And this, basically, it's this code. And after that, I want to say that it has max length 255. So string length bracket 255. And that's how you're going to do it. We got the same for description, but with 2000. So let me comment it so we don't have any conflicts. But I just want to show you what's the other way of doing it, and that's the namespace used for this attribute, system.componentModule.data annotations. So let's go back here. Now I'm saying here that course has required author object, and author object has many courses. So I'm saying that now here we got author, and after that we got courses. So I'm saying that each course has some author, so it has one. But on the other side, each author has many courses. And here is the foreign key, which is author ID. So that's the way of setting one-to-many relationship. Now let's continue. What else I want to say? I want to say that it has required. Course is going to course.cover, and here with required principal, which will be is going to c.course. Okay, and after that, I'm going to say has many, build another relationship for our tags. So course is going to course.tags. After that, say with many, each tag has many courses, and I'm going to map it. Now, how this mapping will happen? Well, I'm going to say n.toTable, and here I need to say course tags. Okay, after that, n.map left key, which will be course ID. Okay, and after that, n.map right key, which will be tag ID. What I'm doing with that? Well, the relationship between courses and tags, it's many-to-many. So each course can have multiple tags, which is fine. Let's say this is course over .NET, C#, more specific, entity framework, ORM technology, and let's say design patterns, because repository pattern unit of work are design patterns, etc. So each course has multiple tags. But in the same time, each tag can be assigned to multiple courses. So you can have course C# basics. You can have C# advanced. After that, C#, let's say, or entity framework. All of these three courses share the same tag, which is C#, C# programming. So I guess you understand the logic why we have many-to-many. And what we're saying, when you got many-to-many, how things are happening? Well, you got your courses table, you got your tags here table, and to the end here you got tags courses, for example, or course tags. This thing is keeping a many-to-many relationship. So each course has ID, tags as well. And here we're saying that course ID, for example, 1, has tag ID, which is 2. After that, you're going to say that first course has tag 3, etc., etc. So you can have multiple. And that's the way of doing it. So we're saying that we're going to have table for them, which will be course tags. After that, the left key will be course ID, and the right key will be tag ID. Okay, so far what we have. So we created our DbContext. We included our models, which are DbSets. We are doing our configurations for the course, and we reference that inside model builder and model creating method in DbContext. And here we're setting some validation requirements and our relationships. After that, what else we have? Well, we saw that we can do this with attributes as well, which is here. Now, to make that run, we need just one more thing. The last thing is inside DbContext, I'm saying that each DbContext will inherit base from name equals DbContext. So basically here, I'm giving my connection string name. They should be the same. So this thing will look inside my app-config for connection string tag with name DbContext. After that, basically we'll use credentials and generally details, and we'll use them to connect to my database. Okay, so let's do it. I'm copying that and I'm going inside my app-config. So what I can say, I can come here and say, okay, I'm having tag which is connection strings. I can have multiple. And after that say add with name which equals to DbContext. So, and here is the important thing. This should be the same, absolutely the same as that. If I got misspelling like context with double T, that's not going to work because it will not find the context. So let's continue. What parameters we need to set in our connection string? So here we got the name and we got connection string. Here I'm going to say that my data source, which is the name of the server, is equal to, let's keep it for now something because we still don't know it. After that I'm saying initial catalog. What's initial catalog? Well, that's the name of my database. And I can call it Puto, let's say, demo. Let's say my database will have name Puto demo. Okay, after initial catalog, I'm saying integrated security, which should be equal to true. And after that, multiple active result sets is equal to true. These are some parameters that you just need to set, and app equals entity framework. I have it already created, so I can just place it here, and that's fine. And now I need one more parameter, which is provider name. My provider name is system.data.sql client. Okay, now what left? Well, basically, we need to set this data source and say what it will request. So let's open my database and see what we have. And now we have opened our management studio. Now, if you want, you can use your server name or some database in cloud. This is your first option. And take this server name from here and place it in the connection string data source, this which is something. Or you can use localhost 1, which is from Visual Studio, and just add here localhost or just local. And this will connect to your default database. Okay, so far we're done with that. We got our connection string, which refers to app.config.